Welcome to another episode of A&O Connect with Andre and
Omeakio.
where we talk about life, love, and relationships.
We couldn't see this and then we travel, never letting go. This together journey is how love grows. This together journey, 30 years of you and me, from valleys and mountains through storms we couldn't see. This and then we travel, never letting go. This together journey.
So today we're talking about something I've been thinking a lot about: respect. It's funny, right? We use that word all the time, but when it comes to relationships, the ones that actually last, respect isn't just a nice idea. It's everything.
Yes, it is. So when I think back on relationships I've seen through the years, especially the ones that have failed, I've seen how hard people have tried. I've seen the love between them, but there was an element of respect missing. So I oftentimes wondered what causes that one element to cause so much confusion and separation between two people that say they love each other. And it's just amazing how when you change just a few things, how things turn around.
Yeah.
But without the respect factor, it's very hard and difficult to maintain a relationship. So respect is a very important key factor. And I think this is a very important topic to discuss
Yeah.
in regard to relationships.
Yeah, we definitely have weathered our own storms, right? I can think of times when, respect between us, when we had respect between us, we were good. But then there were times where there wasn't respect and it seemed like nothing went right.
Yeah, so when you think about building relationships and that respect factor is very, very critical. Like you said, when we were respecting one another and not just saying we love one another, but actually showing through our actions, through our words, acts of kindness,
Yeah.
and just doing those little things to make someone feel relevant and included. It worked out well.
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, other things happen. So what do you think?
Well, I think what I did was I looked up the definition of respect because I think it's important for people that to be well defined. So what I came up with is respect in relationships boils down to something that's, to your point, we've experienced, right? Seeing you as a complete whole person. You have needs, you have boundaries, and that matters, right? It's not about me controlling you or calling the shots, although I love calling the shots now. I really love calling the shots.
Is that right?
It's truly about listening to understand, right? It's how we talk to each other. It's no name calling or bringing up old stuff. It's about being able to disagree, but at the same time, respecting your limits, you respecting mine, even when those limits aren't the ones that we would normally choose. What I've learned is without respect, even the most passionate relationships can be toxic, right? When we have respect for each other and we respect each other, so it's two different things. When we have respect for each other and then we respect each other, I've seen some amazing things happen with us, right? I can be vulnerable without fearing that you're going to judge me or I'm in a competition. I can grow as my own person at the same time we're growing together. We can have heated disagreements, but that's okay because we're not burning down what we built, right? We still are together with that. So the bottom line is I've just found that respect creates that safe space for each other. It allows an environment where our love can thrive. So I think from everything that I've experienced, respect and having it for each other is everything.
Interesting.
What about your definition?
Oh, my definition of respect. I would say, personally, it has to come from within, starting with you first.
Yeah, I believe that.
Because if you don't respect yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you're down in yourself, if you can look in the mirror and not accept what you see, if you can pick yourself apart when you look in the mirror. My nose is too big, my lips are too big, or I wish I looked this way or that way. It's a lot easier to disrespect someone else
True.
if you're disrespecting yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's those things that we don't like about ourselves, that we think someone's focusing on and someone else can see. If I see it, they can see it. So before they can let me know what they see, because I've already seen it, I'll do some things to keep them off of that track, take them off track and take them off course. And it causes us to think that someone else is thinking something, and they may not be.
Right.
That person may have accepted you just the way you are. But because of your inner self and your insecurities, your mind, it has those things that you've already dealt with or not dealt with about you. And that person really loves you. That
Right.
person wants to love you. That person is trying to reach you. That person has chosen you. And we sabotage relationships because we don't love ourselves. And it causes us to disrespect ourselves and the one that's trying to love us. So respect to me is first accepting you.
Right.
It has to come from within. Then you can look at yourself and be satisfied. Then you can look at someone else and give all the energy that you focused on for you. You can give all that to someone else and live freely with that person. You accept you, you accept them, and vice versa.
Right.
And then those feelings grow. You learn what love feels like. You learn how love grows. And now you respect the relationship.
Right.
You have a genuine care and concern and compassion for that person. And respect just comes naturally because you begin to love more, to grow more, and you enjoy the together journey more.
I think it's also important to recognize that respect looks different for different people. While I may have my own definition of what respect looks like for me, you may have a total different feeling of what respect looks like for you.
Exactly true, because you're a woman and I'm a man.
Absolutely.
And we have different types of feelings, expectations when it comes to feelings.
Yeah.
And even how your mate approaches you and how you approach your mate.
That's true.
So in my mind as a man, I may think something I'm doing is okay.
Right.
You may think something you're doing is okay.
Right.
And it might not be. And that's where healthy communication comes into play.
Absolutely.
And that's how we grow together. We learn one another more. And just have a question. What are those small things that I do that actually make you feel respected? It can be something small, just something I do on a normal or every once in a while.
I think for me, it's really the support piece. Like for the last couple of years, we've been, oh my goodness, I've been traveling a lot, not just for my corporate job, right? But for me doing my speaking engagements, or I'm going in, I'm doing my events, and you're right there all the time. And I know that you respect me because you tell people about me all the time. And it's like, I see like the light shine, and I also, people will tell me like, I see him looking at you, and you just have, you have that love, but you also have that respect of, you know, she's doing her thing. And I appreciate that you always, always, always just have my back. And you listen. You listen more now to what I'm doing and what I want to do. And you will even just step in and say, what can I do to help you? So I feel like that is sometimes what you're respecting. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for recognizing the respect I have for you.
Absolutely.
And like I said before, that comes from that genuine care, concern, and compassion. And also comes from the fact that I'm confident with myself.
Right.
You know, I don't have to feel a certain way about me and wonder how you feel about me.
Right.
Because through the years, our love has grown, and I'm confident in how you feel.
Right.
So I think it comes down to this together journey. We're doing things together, we're growing together. You're not leaving me behind, I'm not leaving you behind. And it's just the intentional things that we do to make sure we're still together.
Sure.
We're on the same page. We got here in Texas
Oh, yeah.
on the same page. You know, and that was a faith move.
Absolutely.
So it's just respect is very important. And when it's recognized, it's appreciated, and it's encouragement to keep going.
All right. Well, we talked about, when we make each other feel respected, right? What about when you or I have missed the mark?
We missed the mark. Okay, those are some moments. It depends on how severe it is.
Right.
Because disrespect is like just the opposite side of respect.
True.
And sometimes it makes you feel the opposite side of what you feel when somebody's respecting you. For me, as a man, as myself, I can't speak for all men, but you'll build up to a certain point in life and relationship, and to see that person that you've grown with, to see that person that you've experienced so many different things with, to hear them say something or see them do something that you feel goes against the love that's been built,
Right.
all the good times and those moments that felt good, that felt right. It's like what happened? How could you? Why are you feeling this way? We were doing good. So those must make you feel like a failure sometimes. Like, did I do something wrong? Or am I not doing what I think I'm doing? Or it can make you question yourself. Because now this person is going through something that I don't really understand where that came from. And it can also bring up a question in your mind. How is that person truly feeling inside about me, about us?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll ask you, how are we doing? Are we okay? And that's the reason why. Because I want to make sure we keep up with one another.
Right.
We keep track of one another. Because I can assume we're okay.
Right.
Because nothing is going on. Nothing is happening as far as arguments or whatever. But you have to check in. How are we doing? So that's just my take on how it feels inside. It can make you feel like you let somebody down. And it could also mean your partner is crying out for help silently. They're not saying what they really feel. They may have tried to reach you in a certain way, and you didn't get it. But as you keep going and you don't get it, or you don't address it, and they don't speak on it, it causes some other feelings to come out.
So when I think about the times where the mark has been missed, is times where maybe something was omitted, or maybe I didn't get the whole truth about something, or maybe something was information was withheld. And that for me is like, what's going on? Like, I'm your helpmate. I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. You should never have to withhold information from me, or not tell me the whole truth, or just keep things from me. That really, really makes me feel like you don't respect that. You don't respect this.
Thank you for sharing that. Sometimes as men, or I speak for myself, we feel that you don't have to know everything. If we're working on something, or we're trying to figure something out, or working something out on behalf of us, we don't want to burden you with every little detail or every little thing if we're taking care of something, or if it's something that we can handle that you don't have to deal with, or we don't have to deal with together. So I can understand your point of feeling like I'm omitting or not including you. I think sometimes, man, we take things on and say, okay, I got this. You don't have to worry about this. And I think that's what it is. So I don't think it's so much in a man's mind it's omitting or not including you. Sometimes I think we see it as protecting you, or keeping you from the worry or the stress of the little things that we can handle that you don't have to worry about. But like I said, we're different, so it's going to feel different.
So, we talked about what respect looks like. So let's flip it. Andre, I want to get personal just for a moment. When you feel disrespected, what happens inside? Like, what emotions bubble up, and how does that actually change how we connect?
Emotions. Sometimes it's a few, and they come together to cause some type of commotion or confusion inside as to what's happening, what just happened. Sometimes I don't understand what happened. Or we can think we're on the right path or think we're doing the best we can. And then these moments come up that arise of disrespect, and it's like, where'd that come from? And what would make you feel that way to respond that way to me or to us? So the emotions are kind of all over the place. You know, it's confusion, it's what happened, it's why or what's going on. Not knowing, I think, is the hardest part.
How does it actually change the way we connect?
I actually think it's not about a connection at that point. I think it's a moment where we disconnect, in a sense, to figure out, well, for me, what happened. And to reflect and to go over everything before that moment.
Right.
Because if there's no explanation or conversation afterwards, it leaves you wondering,
Right.
you know, what just happened, or you don't know. So I think it causes us to go into our neutral corners and think about, okay, how do we get to this point?
Yeah.
And how do we get back to where we need to be?
Yeah, I can definitely relate. I think inside of me, I don't know, I feel a little hurt, I would say. Because I don't think sometimes, because we're so different, I don't think sometimes we even think about sometimes the words we say or how we say it. So it's like, okay, so I'm going to go do something different. I have this, I don't know, this shift mechanism where when things are a little too much, I can shift and do something totally different. It's like a protective shield that I put over myself and say, you know what? Not today. So I'm going to shift and do something different, something that gives me energy, something that will create a positive vibe, because that feels negative and I don't like to be in a negative space too long. So I'm going to do something that may be more positive so it can lift me up. Otherwise, I can find myself getting drawn into a really negative space, and I don't want to do that. So that's for me. When I talk about emotions that bottle up, I can get charged, and for me, I just have to shift. So you're right, how that changes how we connect. We really don't connect in those moments, and we have to, go in our separate corners. But the cool thing about it is we try to come back together and talk through it.
Interesting. Something I've been reflecting on lately is how these moments change us over time. I wonder, from your perspective, when disrespect becomes a pattern, what happens to that foundation of trust we work so hard to build? And how does this slowly reshape what we have?
Patterns of disrespect. For me, I think 3 major shifts happen. One, my emotional walls come up. Every time I feel like I'm dismissed, I don't know. I feel like, okay, I got to protect myself. If I feel like I'm hearing a condescending tone, or when our agreements are broken, I have this invisible wall that I put up. And I catch myself holding back. I won't talk. I won't discuss things with you. I keep them to myself because I'm like, you don't want to hear it no way. So the second thing is I start bracing myself for hurt. Okay. And then I think what happens is, because you've experienced it before, it comes back to remind you that, this felt like before. So now, instead of that, assuming I'm going to get support for something, I may feel like, let me just embrace this impact that's going to happen. And our relationship sometimes, for me, if it's a pattern, it doesn't feel like a safe haven. If you remember when we came here, I think it was 2 years in, and I was very overwhelmed. It was a lot. My sister had passed. You were looking for employment. We had been here, and it was a lot on me. And I felt like I couldn't really say anything because I didn't want to like make you feel bad. So I was like, I got to hold all this in. And I remember praying about it, and I was like, God, I got to talk about this. I got to talk about this. I can't keep holding this in. And I remember, I don't know if you remember this, I came to the room and I said, can I talk to you? And I asked you to get really close to me, like really, really close. And I laid on your chest and I just said, I need to say something to you. And I felt like that was my safe haven. And anytime there's a pattern of disrespect, I don't feel that safe haven. And I think as women, we want to feel that security. We want to feel safe, right, with you. So that I need that emotional armor to get through my day. The third thing is I watch how our communication might break down. Because if you have a pattern of disrespect, we ain't talking. Or if we are talking, how are we talking to each other? So there's a breakdown in the communication, right? So I'm thinking, what's the use of talking? If I'm like repeating myself over and over and over again, like I feel like you're not hearing. So it's like, why am I talking? Why do I keep saying the same thing over and over again, right? So those are the three things I think. Like, our silence can be a dangerous cycle when you have a pattern of disrespect. So, yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
What about you?
Patterns. First, there shouldn't be patterns.
True.
There should be a recognition of what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Right.
But if a certain type of pattern continues to happen, I think it really affects what we work hard for, because it affects the connection. It affects the way we want to communicate, but we don't.
Yeah.
Because we don't know if we should. And sometimes we might not want to.
Right.
Because the last time didn't work the way we wanted it to, or whatever it may be. So those patterns, they cause us to be a little more hesitant. And it's almost like we're waiting for that moment to jump back in.
Right.
As far as slowly reshape what we have, I think it all comes down to the love you have for a person. And I think that's what really brings you back together.
Yeah.
When you can say, you know what, I know we just had a moment. I know that moment didn't feel good. But when you can look at that person and say, but this is the person I love. And that respect and that those intentional feelings you have for that person.
Yeah.
They overtake all those things in that moment. And it'll cause you to look at the good things. Look at what you've built. Look at what you have. Not let that one moment define the relationship.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I even think there's an awareness that you have to have too, especially when you get to a point, like we got to a point where we actually can recognize when we do something that may irritate the other person, and we'll be like, oh, wait a minute, let me come back. So that awareness is really key, and it helps us kind of say, I gotta circle around and I gotta make this right. Whether it's tone or whether I said something that may have, impacted you in a way. I know because your demeanor or your aura changes, and I'm like, ooh, it feels a little cold in here. But then I know I'm thinking back, like, what did I do? What just happened? And just replaying it just for a moment to say, okay, let me circle back around, because that wasn't my intention, and I need to make sure I make it right with you. So yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for being aware.
Oh, absolutely, gotta be. So when we slip into these moments of disrespect, what do you think it comes from? Does it come from our family dynamics of how we were raised? Is it defense mechanisms that we built over time, or is it something else? For you?
It's all of that.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
I mean, we all come from a place of family.
Right.
And from a youth, you see things, you take things in, whether it's
Yeah.
somebody else's pattern, and subconsciously you can say, I'm not going to be like that.
Right.
But sometimes you find ourselves in those positions acting the very way we say we wouldn't act.
True.
Because whether we admit it or not, our environment became part of us.
That's true.
Because that's all we saw and that's all we heard and that's all we knew. That's how we related.
Yeah.
So as hard as we try, some of that filtered in. Even as we got older, we got our own personalities and we did things our own way. That little part that filtered in, sometimes it shows.
Yeah.
And somebody will say, you're acting just like so-and-so. You're like, no, I'm not.
But you are.
Yes, you are. So sometimes we have to sit and think,
Yeah.
why am I acting this way? Where did I get this from? And we always say, this is not me.
Right. It's a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially if it comes from your parents,
Oh, yeah.
because that's where you came from.
Right.
So you may got a little bit of your mom, a little bit of your dad, or whomever it may be. And those genes, sometimes they come alive and they show. As hard as we try to fight against it, we have some of our traits from our family members, from our parents.
Yeah, I would agree. We don't think about our kids listening and taking in the things they hear from us. For me, I think growing up, my mom would tell us, like, make sure that you take care of everything. Like, you have your job, you have this, you have that. She like listed things down, and she was like, you don't need a man for nothing. And that was like the mentality that was instilled in us as, girls coming up. Like, you got to have your own. Like, you don't want to depend on nobody for nothing. And, thinking of that really, it was good in some instances, but not so good in the other, because I came so independent that didn't know how to allow you in sometimes. And that became a barrier for us. So that family dynamics can be very, very influential, as well as even like the defensive mechanism. Because, when you feel like you attack, you like, oh, wait a minute, this is what I have to do to make sure I'm good. So, yeah, I'm in agreement with you. It's all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I'd like to ask you something that might be a bit vulnerable for both of us. Looking back on our journey, can you remember a time when you realized, maybe even days later, that you disrespected me without even seeing it in the moment? What helped you become aware of it?
All right, so it was early on in our relationship. I had moved out of the barracks, and you were coming to visit me, spend some time, and you gave me some money to help with some of the expenses. And I tried to give the money back to you, but you would not take it back. And I ended up throwing your money on the ground. And I didn't realize that was a form of disrespect. In my mind, I'm like, I don't need your money. What you giving me your money for? I'm good. And again, it goes back to the family dynamics of what I was taught. Don't depend on anybody. And now, if you give me money, what you expect in return? Like, what's the deal? Like, you're not finna control me. Like, that ain't gonna work. Yeah, I need to have my own space. I don't need you for that. And I didn't really understand the fundamentals of a relationship, if that makes sense. So, yeah, what made me aware? You told me. You told me. You was like, what is going on? It really bothered you.
Yeah, that was definitely a moment I felt disrespected, disregarded, and didn't understand. And so a time where I disrespected you and didn't see it in the moment. And it takes us back to our wedding day.
Oh, yes.
At the reception. And I've done this quite often. But this particular time, in a social setting, I'm used to visiting people in the room, talking to people, just moving around the room. Just thank you, how you doing, good to see you. I'm comfortable doing that. But I forget one thing, that I'm with you.
Me.
So I take off, I do what I do, I feel comfortable with, and I stop like, oh, I just left her again. So I look back and you're still sitting there like, are we together? You always leave me, what's going on? So I have to be more mindful of my, I don't know, social anxiety or just the excitement of just greeting people and talking to people. And yeah, so, but I realize it after a little while, I'm like, oh, I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel bad too, because I should always be mindful of you. But sometimes my personality kind of just takes over, and I just impulsive. And but I'm getting better, I think.
You are. And now that I really know how you are, it don't bother me as much. I think initially it did because I felt like I was by myself. But I've come into my own space now as a woman, and I'm really secure in who I am. So it doesn't bother me as much now because I will either figure out what I need to do or I will get busy. So it doesn't bother me as much now as it did in the beginning. Because I was like, am I with him or not? Like, why are he leaving me? But yeah. So let's talk a little bit about building and rebuilding respect. We've had our moments, haven't we?
Plenty.
Yeah. And as we talk and think about those times when respect between us was damaged, what actually helped us find our way back to each other?
Wow. Found our way back. For me personally, it wasn't until we truly accepted God in our marriage.
Yes.
It wasn't until we said it, we desired it, we went to church, we sat in church. But truly with our hearts, when we reconnected with God as far as being married and allowing him to teach us and to lead us and even to reach our hearts.
Right.
It wasn't until then that we can truly understand the love that God had for us and what he expected from us for one another. So I think it was just us getting back to that wedding day. Even before that, what connected us?
Right.
What kept us? And was always and always will be God. So for me, that's what it was.
Yeah, I would agree. It was a part of our relationship where we figured we could do this by ourselves, and we lost the focus of God. It was like we were doing it together, but without the core string. Like he needed to be the center of our marriage, and it wasn't until then that we truly connected, and just really, and even praying more for each other, with each other. I think that helped us kind of come back together to just recognize some of the things that, we were doing that was disrespectful for one another. So, God helping us, guiding us, leading us, giving us the answers when we needed them. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
And just to add one more thing to that comment, I think when we start having children,
Yes.
they start playing sports, getting busy.
Yeah.
I think all of that is a distraction.
Yes.
And that's how we lose focus. Because it becomes about running around, getting the kids dressed for school, school shopping, school supplies, paying fees. We get so distracted with so many different things.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that takes the place of that sacred place that we have for God, because we're so busy. And we're so focused on making sure our kids are okay. And we forget to make sure we're okay.
Yeah.
And after all that, we feel like God is with us. He loves us, but we don't make time for him like we should.
And we saw that turnaround when we had a major hiccup in our relationship. And we'll talk about that a little later. But how God turned all that around and he redirected us, because it is easy to get caught up in work and children and life be life. But to have that missing element of God in the center focus, there's nothing that we can't do nothing without him.
Yeah, we can mess stuff up.
Oh yeah, we've done that. Yeah, we've done that. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good. You know, we learned so much together. If you had to name just one lesson about respect that was particularly difficult to learn, maybe even hurt a bit, but changed everything, what would that be for you?
Two things. One, allowing you to lead. And I say allowing because I am viewed as an alpha female. So I'm like really assertive, and I make decisions very quickly. If you look at my Clifton strengths, I am strategic, I am an achiever, I am futuristic, so I execute very well, right? So I can make a decision really quick. I don't have to think about it, need to make a decision, we need to move. And that's how my mind works. So like really pulling back because you're a little different. Your strengths are a little different. So that requires patience and really allowing you to lead. I didn't really do that in the beginning of our relationship. I was like, yep, this is what we're doing this, that, or whatever, because I don't have patience. We got to go. We got to run. And now in the latter part, I wish I was mindful of that when I was younger. Again, but not really being taught that really put me at a disadvantage because I didn't really know how to do those things. So it was, I'm going to be making the decisions. And I know that kind of hurt you a little bit because you were like, can I? But just really allowing you to lead. And the second thing I would say is knowing that my words were disrespectful. Words are powerful. And Scripture tells us that life and death lie in the power of our tongue. And I was killing our relationship. My words were like lethal. And I really didn't think about how I was talking to you and what I was saying. I just said what I was going to say. I'm going to say what I want to say, when I want to say it, how I want to say it. And I really didn't think with you in mind. And for me, I needed to shift that. It was like a total, how do I do this? So it was hard because, again, I had to unlearn bad behavior and relearn what this looks like in a healthy relationship.
For me, a lesson about respect. For one, I think for me it was just being considerate, being mindful, being aware of not the fact that you are with me, but who you are to me and what you mean to me.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we get comfortable with the presence of somebody and we don't really stay focused on the purpose of that person that's with us. So I know now your purpose. I know now your importance, your relevance. Yeah. So I can respect it more because I see it more. I know more.
Yeah.
And, you know, the old saying, if you know better, you should do better.
Right.
And I know better now. And I have God to thank for that. I have you to thank for that, for being patient, understanding, and being willing to grow.
Yeah.
And to change yourself.
Right.
For us, so we can be better.
Yeah.
And we can grow together. So that was a lesson I had to learn, to be more aware of how relevant you were to me and for me. Yeah.
I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome. I love to offer something practical to our listeners. From your heart, What's that one small daily habit, maybe just taking a few seconds, that you think could transform the level of respect in your relationship? What tiny practice makes the biggest difference?
I think we said it throughout our conversation today. It's being mindful, being thoughtful. I read this in a book asking, what can I do for you? Like just being this something small. You never know how your day is after you come off of work, whatever the situation may be. But just being mindful and considerate of your partner, who you're with. So yeah, that would be it. Every day. Just thinking of them every day. What do they need from me?
Okay. And for me, same thing. Just praying for your partner,
Yeah, that's
praying for the union, the marriage, or the
That's
relationship
important.
you may be in, and just being consistent in your character. Being confident and consistent in who you are,
Right.
understanding your purpose, and allowing that person their purpose in the relationship.
Right. I agree. Now we like to pose some questions to our listeners just to reflect on your own relationship. So we got 2 questions for you. We all have distinct insights in different moments of our lives, right? So when that feeling of disrespect comes over you, what happens next? Do you speak up immediately? Do you step away into that storm pass? Or do you find yourself avoiding it altogether?
I'd like you to consider something that might be hard to see. Is there a pattern of disrespect that is repeated in your relationship? Could it be connected to something deeper that hasn't been fully expressed or even heard yet?
Those are some 2 really good questions that we just want you to think about, just to ponder over, right? Navigating respect is an ongoing journey. It's not a destination. And we're still learning after 30 years together. So,
That's right. We'd love to hear from you. What questions do you have for us? And what strategies have worked for you that maybe you can share with us that can help us along the way as well? So as we share, we like you to share as well. As we help, we like you to help us as well.
we want to hear from you. So feel free to reach out to us on any of the social media handles that you see on the screen. You can email us at anoconnect@gmail.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel, ANO Connect.
Next time, we'll discuss understanding relationships, the foundation most people don't recognize.
Remember, we're better together. We'll connect with you soon.
Thank you for tuning in.
When words were hard to find, we never gave up on love, no, 'cause you made a promise you'll always